I'm going to try to make this video while I'm driving, but I wanted to make a part 2 of that video I made earlier about somewhat about leaving a legacy and just some heavy stuff that was on my mind with, me changing my life and following God and wanting to be a better example for my children, the 3 grown children. And then, anyways, this is part 2 because I left out of the important part of it, I think, that I left out was that it's late in life, man. So, I mean, just to encourage somebody, it's our job as parents, as a father, to lead our children, to lead them in the right way as far as God, and to be godly examples. So that's our main priority as a father, is to lead our children in the way of God and being a godly example, not just teaching them it, but being the example, being there and being the example, not just in word, but in deed, in what you do. And the heavy part about it on my mind is like I find myself wanting to pour myself out to my kids, to my sons, because I know now that I can see where I dropped the ball all over the place. If I ever picked it up, if I ever had the ball, but I totally failed, and that's heavy on me now to go in the right, to finally have it click in you on all the knowledge that you need and the understanding of which way to go, to finally have it and get them for that to click in your head and not have a place in their lives to be an example. That's hard. That's what I would like to encourage people. I can't really speak into their lives, and be that example that I want to be, even from a distance. All they have known is, I'm a drug addict and, just a mess, We'll just say a whoremonger, whatever you would call that. For a man, because that's been my life story, is just, chasing drugs and women, trying to fill a void in your life that, only God can fill that void in your life. Looking for a kind of love that you'll never feel. I don't think you can fill it through relationships or anything or validation from people or anything like that. It's a void in your life that God has to fill. But the painful part about it is that I have to deal with. I still have to see God is able to forget our sins, cast them into the sea of forgiveness. Me, not so much. Us humans, not so much. We can remember that. We have to carry the weight and the scars of the hurt we've caused and the mistakes we've made. So I would just, that's, I guess, my encouragement, which, is that, lead your children, be the example. That's first things first, man, is leading them to God and making them men of God. That's one of the painful things I had to deal with, watching, my kids make maybe bad or bad decisions or whatever, make their own mistakes, whatever you want to call it, and not being able to really speak into their life in a godly way because of the past you've lived, So, I just wanted to add that to this video. I really started out just for my, I wanted it, have it on. And I'm placing it on YouTube for the world to see. I really don't care. That's fine with me. But the purpose of putting it on YouTube is because it's a place that I know that will be handed down. It'll be there for my daughter. I want her to know, not just her, my other kids, if they ever take the time to watch, they'll know that, the decisions I made, not the bad ones, but the good ones, but the weight that I carry, for, I don't just get to go on living my life. I carry the guilt from all the mistakes I've made for being, not being, the man I wanted to be, not so much the man I wanted to be, but not being the man I was supposed to be, because I didn't want to be the right man at the right time, but as I'm older now, now I see all the flaws and all the unhealthiness of it. And another powerful thing that I've learned, man, was and I've said this before, I took advantage of the fact of my kids having good moms. I took advantage of that, and I ran around and did my own thing, and tried to use the comfort of them being good moms. I used that as a comfort for me to be a bad dad. And the sad thing about that is now I see the unhealthiness of, and I see the importance of how important a father is in someone's life. That is super, and I see the unhealthiness of children that does not have a man to speak into their life, to lead them in a stronger way than just a mother. I see the unhealthiness also in a mother who is just a coddler. You know what I'm saying? I understand all the psychology behind a lot of that stuff that is very unhealthy. Like, a kid needs a man to be there, to be strict, stern, loving, and encouraging. It's very important in a child's life, and that's that's a heavy burden to carry, heavy guilt. And I've been forgiven a lot, so it helps me to what they say. He who is forgiven much loves much. That's why I try to love God and to the best of my ability. Sometimes I feel like I'm too hard. I don't know. But that is it with this message. Thank you very much for listening.